Prajapataya Manaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. First of all, I'd like to thank Swami Brahmananji Maharaj and the rest of the Shivanand Yoga Retreat Nassau management staff for providing me this opportunity today speaking upon the subject of the foundation of Vedanta. I'd also like to thank my master, my teacher, Srimad Swami Vedhanand Puriji Maharaj, from whom I have learned the teachings of Upanishad, to provide an opportunity from his time to allow me to speak on this subject. Hindu religion mainly has many scriptures, but these four Vedas, they enjoy the highest place among the Hindu religion in the field of scriptures. Mainly because whereas we can see all the other scriptures, they are written by an author at an age in history in some time. But whereas these four Vedas are called as Apaurusheyatva, means they are not written by any author and they are just expressing themselves. We have them just by the exhalation of Lord Vishnu. So these Vedas mainly consist four. They are Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharva Veda, which has concludingly 1 lakh mantras, or we can say in American terms 100,000 mantras, out of which 80,000 are only meant for performing various rituals, which in Sanskrit is called as Karma Kanda, performing specific homas, yajnas, griha shanti and all other things. The rest 16,000 are for upasanas, sadhanas. The end part, which is 4,000 mantras, they are for the knowledge, attaining the knowledge. That is called as Jnana Bhaga. Each and every Veda has mantra, brahmana, aranya and each everything, which is again distributed and divided as a shakha, which you can easily simplify and translate into a branch. So at the end of each shakha or a branch, we had a Upanishad. So mainly which brings us to 1,000 branches and 1,000 Upanishads. But as the time and days passed, there was a tradition in India, there was nothing written available. The teachings, all these things were translated from a master to disciple vocally, verbally. So as and when the time has passed, we lost many upon them during this age. So now mainly available Upanishads are 108. 108 Upanishads are mainly available in this time. Again we come, Upanishads are the ending part of each and every shakha which is available in Vedas. So Vedas had more than 1,000 branches, shakhas, but now mainly we have 108 Upanishads. So let's discuss something about it. First of all, the topic itself is the foundation of Vedanta. So we'll discuss what exactly Vedanta is, what is its significance, and how can it be implemented in our daily life. This will be a just concise talk and my teacher will continue this. So what exactly is an Vedanta? We normally hear from many people, oh, we are learning Vedanta or we are attending the course of Vedanta. But first exactly understand what exactly is Vedanta is. So in simplified terms, if just in one sentence if you want to understand, they say Vedanam Antaha Vedantaha. The ending portion, the end part of these four Vedas is called Vedanta. So as we have calculated, Vedas had 100,000 mantras, out of which 80,000 was meant for ritualistic performance, that is Karma Kanda. 16,000 were for upasanas. Those remaining 4,000 mantras is the knowledgeable, attaining knowledge. So that 4,000 mantras, the ending part is called as Vedanta. So now exactly what is an Upanishad? As we have discussed, that each and every branch of Veda had a Upanishad, which only now presently available is 108. So let's understand the meaning of Upanishad. Upanishad is a term which denotes, which indicates the knowledge which takes us to the all-pervading, omnipotent, omnipresent self. The meaning itself derives from the root, Sanskrit root, Shadri Vishrani Gatyartho Avasadana Arthe, means which breaks the barrier, which brings us to the near of the omnipotent, and which breaks the barrier of ignorance. So the knowledge itself is called Upanishad, not the scriptural books. This is the main meaning of the word Upanishad. But as the books also help us to attain that knowledge, the reason derivatively, that is the reason these books are, these Sanskrit texts, scriptures are also called as Upanishad. So out of this 108 Upanishads, mainly Lord Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya has written the commentary on 10 principal Upanishads. That is, you can know Ish, Kem, Katha and all those things. So now we know what exactly an Upanishad is. The same thing, Vedanta, you can assume the study, the learning, the thinking and the implementation in regular life is known as Vedanta. We come over here. The study of Upanishad, the hearing, because the process was such in ancient India that it was not by reading, it was Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. Shravana is nothing but hearing, listening, the speech, the text from Guru's mukh, the teacher's mouth. This is Shravana. Thinking upon that is Manana, and implementation in regular life is called as Nididhyasana. So the study of Upanishad is Vedanta. Study means hearing, thinking upon it, and implementation in one's own self daily life is Vedanta. Not just the studies or not just the text. So if anyone says, okay, I am attending the course of Vedanta, then he needs to check whether all these conditions are matched or not. If they are not getting matched, you need to implement it. It's not that you need to stop it, but you need to implement it. Okay. So now let us see the significance. This is just a concise talk, rest Guruji will continue it. So let's see the significance of Upanishads. As we said, Vedanta is nothing but the implementation of Upanishads. So we'll speak mainly upon Upanishads. So the significance can be seen in numerous places in Upanishads. You can see one among these 10 principal Upanishads is Chandogya Upanishad. So you can see in Chandogya Upanishad, the leader of these demigods. What exactly do we mean by a demigod? We in Vedic Sanatana tradition, we have a authority, a god for everything, like a rain. I think in others cultures also, like Greek or something, we have a god for this. So like a rain, fire and all these things, we have a authority officer appointed by the divine form. So that is called as a demigod. Swamiji many times will be mentioning in his lectures the demigod or a petty god. So what exactly the term means is an officer or an authority appointed by the divine form to look over the things, to maintain, to housekeep the things. That is called as a demigod. So the leader of a demigod, Indra, and the leader of demons, Virochana, they went to the creator Brahma. They wanted to learn this Brahma Vidya. So today we are very, very lucky that we get the masters and we go to them, we surrender to them and we have the knowledge. But it was not so in ancient times. So Brahma just said, okay, you stay for a while, we'll see. I'll see when I need to provide you. First you stay for a while and render your services over here. So 32 years they both stayed, and then Brahma called them one day, the creator called them one day and said, okay, now you people are ready to have this knowledge. So he has given the teachings. Virochana, the leader of demons, understood something, and the Indra, the leader of demigods, understood something. So at least both have understood whatever they, according to their mind, according to their brain. So now Brahma said, okay, you have attained the knowledge, you can go. So Virochana, what he understood is, the form which we are seeing, the body which we are seeing is Brahma. Actually what the creator, he has explained, he has teached is, the image which you are seeing in the right eye of a person is Brahman. The image which you see in the pupil, in the retina, in the right eye of a person is Brahman. So Virochana has seen in the eye of Indra, he saw the shadow, the image of himself. So he understood, okay, I am the Brahman. So he went happily to the demons and he explained in the same way further. So that's a different thing. But then Indra was also going, then he thought, how can it be? So he had further doubts. He came back again. He has asked Brahma the queries, the doubts. So Brahma said, you see some more. So again he has stayed for 32 years rendering his services. We are talking about Indra, the leader of demigods, not a single normal person. So to attain this knowledge, even for him, it has taken so much of time. This is just the significance what I want to say here is from the story, from this small example. So again he stayed for 32 years, then again he has went to Brahma. Brahma has called him again, and then again he was taught something, he was given some teachings. Then again he had doubts. In the same way, he stayed there for 101 years. Then he got the proper teachings, proper knowledge, the Vidya. Second example we can take from the Brihadaranya Upanishad. I think many must have you heard about sage Yajnavalkya. So he had 2 wives. So when he planned to renounce all these things and he wanted to take sannyasa, so he called both of his wives and said, okay, I want to distribute all my property among both of you. So one among them was Katyayani. She was happy to take. But the other was Maitreyi. She asked a question to her husband. Will I be Amrita by gaining this property? Will I be free from this cycle of life and birth? Will I get the salvation? Then sage Yajnavalkya says, no. There is no materialistic property which can give you the salvation through this wealth or something. Then she says, I don't want any such wealth which cannot give me salvation. So this is just a short significance of Upanishad, learning Upanishad. Now we can see how it can be implemented in your daily life. If you learn, there is a long process, mainly learning by grammar and all other scriptures to understand it better. But we have many translators, orators, commentators which have simplified the subject in these times. So the implementation can be done in various ways. First of all is we need to clear our mind, then only we'll be able to understand the subject. So that clearing is through this yoga, as Krishna Das has done and as you people are daily doing the satsanga. This all purifies the mind. And then the subject, the topic will be understandable better, and then it can be implemented. They say first requirement is Antakarana Shuddhi. We have three types of obstacles. There is Mala, Vikshepa and Avarana. Mala is purely the sin of previous births, which doesn't allow us to just go and sit in the lectures or NVL to implement, to start ourselves. Vikshepa is just oscillation of mind. While we are sitting over here in the lectures, we think of something else, or we just don't stick to our seats and just we need to move or something. And Avarana is the ignorance. So these 3 things, these 3 obstacles which stops us by attaining the knowledge of the self or the omnipotent. So we need to have the Antakarana Shuddhi, the purification of mind. And this yoga, pranayama, satsanga, these are the mediums of purification of mind. Until and unless you don't purify yourself, even though if you hear the topic, even though if you hear the subject, it will do no good to you. Okay, at least you will get some sanskaras, impressions by hearing and listening. but purification of mind is much more necessary. As Swamiji has said in his previous talks, when we see anything, any object, we see 5 things with that object, particular object. Asti, Bhati, Priya, Nama, Rupa. Asti means it has the existence, that is the reason we are seeing it. Bhati means we can experience it. If it is in a solid form, we touch it, we experience. If it is in a liquid form or a gaseous form, we can experience this through other senses. That is called as Bhati. It is, we can experience. Priya. Priya means we like the existence of it. That is the reason we are implementing in that particular thing. And then Nama and Rupa. Nama means name, Rupa means form. When we see an object, these are the 5 things we look along with it. Although we may be able to experience it, we may be not able to experience it. Means we know that we are seeing these 5 things, or we may not be knowing it. But these are the 5 things which we see along with the object. So as Swamiji has said in his previous lectures, the first 3 are the qualities of a Brahmin, because they are indestructible. Asti, Bhati and Priya. It is, we are experiencing it, and it is likable to us. These 3 qualities are all the qualities of a Brahman. The rest 2 are ever changing, Nama and Rupa. As H2O you take, it is a gaseous form. So the name is gas, hydrogen and oxygen. But when they combine, it becomes water. So the name has also changed and the form has also changed. But when you freeze it, it becomes ice. So again the name has changed and the form has changed. So in the same way, these 2 last qualities, they go on changing. So this is not Brahman. We need to differentiate, we need to discriminate these 2 qualities from the first 3 qualities while seeing any object, while interacting with any personal human being, or while daily living our life and just doing our sadhana. You can slowly implement and attain the self-knowledge. Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. By this I conclude my speech, and I request my Guruji, my teacher, Srimad Swami Medhananji, to continue the speech. Om.